Welcome to 5 after midnight. You know that feeling when you're being watched? It's better if you don't turn around. Number 1.
I traveled to Atlanta for a conference a few years ago, and being from a rural part of the central United States, I wasn't used to being in a big city like that. So, eventually I got lost in what most people would consider to be a bad neighborhood. It was around 9 p.m., and I'm sitting at a stop sign. The only working street lamp on the block is right there above my car. I reached over to change the radio station, and I noticed some movement out of the corner of my eye. This guy, who easily fits the description of every gang member I'd ever heard of, walked into the light of the street lamp and started towards my car while he was pulling a fucking ski mask over his face. I slammed on the gas and got the hell out of there. I've never been so scared in my entire life.
Number 2.
I was in Manhattan trying to find a venue for a concert. It was two of my female friends and myself. The two friends are two very attractive women. We didn't know our way around very well, so we asked some gentleman. He gives us a direction and we walk. Sure enough, he sent us in the wrong direction. We ask another gentleman for help. This new guy sends us the right way, which causes us to walk for about another 15 minutes. We come to the venue, and I stop. I notice out of the corner of my eye that the first guy who sent us in the wrong direction was still following us. He comes up behind me and says, "Just follow that light, man. That's where you want to go." Me, not being an idiot, decide to just ignore him because I know we're at the venue. He picks up his phone and says, "Yeah, I know I'm late. I got 2 of them. They're worth it. Just give me 5 minutes." So, sure enough, I decide to test this dude. I tell my friends to keep walking with me, and I make a turn at the next city corner. This dude follows right behind me, so I decide to call the guy out. I turn around and I got in his face. "What the fuck are you following us for?" He looked a little shook up and replied with, I thought I was guiding you," and quickly scampered off. Thinking about it, he probably thought my friends were hookers.
Number 3.
One wet, stormy night, my buddy and I decide to go up for a drive at about midnight. We hop in the car and start driving. Our target? Hicks Road. Hicks Road is a long, creepy road that tumbles through the hills at the edge of town. You follow it through until you pop out at another part of town. Anyway, I look at my buddy and ask him if he's ever been up Hicks. "Half a way in each direction," he says. Okay, fair enough. We get to a hilly, desolate part of Hicks. My asshole buddy starts telling me about these weirdos that live up there. Apparently there's a camp of weirdo people in the hills. I don't know what he's talking about. We had just seen the movie I Am Legend in theaters, so I'm thinking that these weird people are the fucking creatures from the movie and he's just messing with me. 10 minutes later, my friend says that we've made it as far as he's ever gone. Okay, halfway, right? Suddenly, we spot a massive smear of red on the street. We laugh it off. It must be blood from a deer. It's only logical. Another 10 minutes go by, and I look at my friend and ask him if we're halfway through yet. He says, "I don't know." He's a dick. 5 minutes later, we come to a solid fork in the road. My buddy has no idea which way. He reminds me that there was a massive drug bust up the hills last year, and that if we make a wrong turn, we'd end up at the weed farm and probably get shot by weed farmers. We turn right, but then we spot a not a through street sign at the last minute. Left it is. A few minutes later, a little fog starts to creep in. The high beams are engaged. The right side of the road is now a cliff that drops into the water reservoir. Very classy. I lean over and I say, how crazy would it be if we saw a truck teetering over the edge over there? My buddy laughs. 5 minutes later, I shit you not, we come to a straightaway with a truck teetering off the side of the road. This is a goddamn trap. The truck is rust-colored, and I don't even know what kind of truck it was. It was a straight rapist and murderer truck. The back end is lifted high in the air, and we can't even see the front. The blinking hazard lights only make it look more suspicious. I'm 100% certain that there are I Am Legend creatures inside the truck waiting to ambush us. We bust out our cell phones, but we have no signal. We drive by slowly, trying to peek into the truck. Nothing. The truck just sits there, teetering off the edge, scaring the shit out of us. We get past it and start arguing over what would happen if we saw the people from the car walking on the road. For some reason, that was a terrifying idea. We came to another straightaway, and right as we get onto the end, I catch something in the rearview mirror. I tell my buddy I think there's a car behind us. He laughs and tells me that's impossible. We're nowhere near any homes, and the only way to get behind us was to follow us from the beginning. We come to another straightaway. Yep, there's a fucking car following us, and it's getting closer. I book it. Straight speed racer trying to lose our pursuer. Finally, we're in a neighborhood. The car is still hot on our asses, but I know this place. I pull into a cul-de-sac and flip off the lights. An old B&W flies by. We follow this guy and see that it's an old man in a suit at 2 a.m. What the hell? We drive off into the night wondering why these things happened.
Number 4.
When I was a student, I finished a bar shift one evening, and there was a sudden bus strike in London. The only money I had on me was what I needed to eat that week. I had no money for a taxi or tube, and thought that I would just walk home. I lived near a landmark that you could see from miles away. I knew how to get home from the landmark easily enough, but I didn't know a route from where I was to that landmark, so I winged it. My experimental path took me into a nice-looking estate near the bank of the Thames River, but also to a dead end. I had to backtrack, and in doing so I caught the attention of a tall man in a purple tracksuit walking along the path by the side of the river. I'm a big guy, though, so I wasn't unduly alarmed. Anyway, as I was walking along the road, still in a nice-looking but very quiet, business-oriented part of town, I notice that the guy is behind me. He doesn't do a courtesy cross of the street or slow down. He's matching my speed and keeping in a constant distance. At one point, I notice a security guard in a lobby of a glass-fronted building, and I step into the shelter of its facade whilst pretending to make a phone call. The guy passes by and turns left and out of sight further down the street. I give it a few moments and resume walking along the street. I look behind me further along just to keep situational awareness, and he's back again. He had walked up the street only so that he could wait for me to pass by and start following me again. Well and truly alarmed now, I start walking quicker when we come to a steep, curved incline. As soon as I know that I'm out of his line of sight, I sprint up the rest of the hill. I would have kept running, but a taxi was passing, and I hailed it and jumped in. I figured I would be better off spending my food budget on getting out of there and eating oatmeal for a few days, rather than staying in that situation. The route of the driver needed to take me involved doubling back the way that I came, so I scrunched down in the back seat while passing the guy who'd been following me. And I remember seeing his puzzled face as he scanned the street, trying to figure out how I was nowhere to be seen.
Number 5.
Back in high school, my friends and I would sneak out all the time and just drive around doing stupid shit. One night we were in a somewhat weird neighborhood picking up some friends at 2 or 3 a.m. We pull like 3 or 4 houses up from his house and park to wait for them to sneak out. After like 30 minutes, his mom is still awake and we say fuck it. We pull out to get some McDonald's or something. What we don't realize is that we pull out directly behind a car coming from the house that we were sitting in front of. We're behind them for a bit, cruising through the neighborhood, and eventually they turn one way and we turn the other. After we get some food, our friends call us to tell us to come pick them up. We go back to his hood and park in the same spot we were in before. Less than 2 minutes later, an SUV comes roaring down the driveway of the house we're in front of. They slam on the brakes and park in front of us, blocking us in. 2 dudes and 1 girl pile out, wielding a crowbar, a claw hammer, and a baseball bat. They are freaking out, yelling at us, asking us why we are following them, and who the fuck are we, and why are we on their turf. We try to explain that we were waiting for our friends to sneak out, but they don't buy it. One of the guys walks up open to my window and gently places the claw side of the hammer on my forehead, directly between my eyes, and in a quiet, quivering voice, filled with pure rage, informs me that if he ever sees me again, he will fucking kill me. I sit motionless, unable to really say anything. My friend is desperately trying to explain that we weren't following them, and I guess they start to realize that we really weren't following them. The guy with the hammer straightens up and motions to the driver of the SUV, who moves the car and lets us go. 3 months later, we see on the news that the police raided that house and discovered one of the largest meth labs in the region. Also, I recognized the girl as the strange goth chick in my sex ed class. I had class with her for the rest of the semester. My friend's girlfriend was passed out in the back seat the whole time and has no recollection of it.